Hello, and welcome back to Amateur Philosophers Play Games. I'm Noah, your host.
I'm Justin, the gamer.
And this is the show where we play video games and discuss philosophical ideas, problems, and philosophize about random topics. So, dear audience, as you can see, we're still on the Assassin's Creed Black Flag, going to assassinate some flags or something.
Something like that.
I don't know how this game works, whatever. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about an interesting topic. As you've undoubtedly read the title, our topic for today is, why do we create art? And okay, by we I mean humans in general. I know not every human probably creates art, but you know, why do humans create art? Now, for you keen-minded philosophers in the crowd, you probably are springing to your keyboards to type out the comment. But what is the definition of art? Question mark, exclamation point one, question mark. What is the definition of art? Justin, now, I think I would like to say, let's not answer that question right now, because that is a whole topic, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry for those watching. It appears my game froze for a moment. We should be good though. It's back. So.
All right. The game froze, just like everyone paused the video to ask what art
Make
is.
the comment.
Yeah, make the comment, exactly. Which you should be doing on every video, because philosophy grows through interaction and dialogue. But anyway,
This is true.
Shameless shill aside. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about what art is, because first of all, that just deserves a video all on its own. That is maybe more than one video, because that's very interesting and in-depth topic. So let's just work with kind of a fuzzy definition of art, if that's all right. We'll say, you know, for the purpose of this, paintings, sculptures, music, YouTube videos, whatever. It kind of a fuzzy definition of what art is.
A common definition.
Yeah, a common definition. That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Why do we create art? And I think this, in order to answer that question, we have to think back what the first and earliest forms of art we have, really. I think something that's really famous is some paintings on cave walls in France.
Yes.
Show horses and animals.
We should probably clarify that the people who made those, even if that's the oldest surviving art, right? But the people who made those, there's a decent chance they made other things. Like maybe they also drew on bark. Maybe they probably had music of some kind, but that just hasn't survived that long. So yeah, we'll go with the cave walls and the paintings on them.
Yes. So I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to say that is the oldest art, because I think that we have sculptures that have survived a lot longer than that. Bits of jewelry that are much older than that. So, I'm not saying that's the oldest art, but why would you draw this or paint this wildebeest on a cave wall? And I think, I'm not sure if this is verified, but there was I watched a video online talking about how in some caves, if they drew multiple weird figures with multiple heads or whatever, but then they realized that if you put a torchlight by them, a flame, the flickering of flames would create motion. The idea of what's the word I'm looking for? What is it?
Animation?
Yeah, but the appearance, the illusion of motion. So you would be watching a movie.
Ah, well, that's pretty.
And so I think that is the first art to answer is we like being entertained. We don't like sitting there doing nothing, and somehow art, in some forms at least, provides us with a kind of entertainment where you just spent all day hunting down wildebeests, and now you're bored and there's nothing to do at night because you can't see anything. So just draw on the wall and talk about what you did today, but show people who weren't there. So it's kind of a desire to be active. Humans, I think, don't tend to like being inactive and just doing nothing.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good place to start, but I don't think that's the full picture. There's a lot of things humans do to stay active that you wouldn't talk about. For example, you could, giving your example of after a long day of hunting wildebeests, you're tired and you want to do something, you could sleep. sleep is a good way to fill time. It's a great way to fill time.
Yeah,
Or
but you
could,
can only sleep for so long.
I mean,
I don't know. I'll take
allegedly.
that. I'll take that back.
Yeah, but there's, and more importantly, you could say repair your clothes. You could, I don't know, cook ever fancier dinners, or venture out to discover more delectable cuisine. And even you don't have to keep this in the realm of in the ancient cave people, right? We can bring this into modern industrialized society. Same thing. When I get home from a long day of work, one thing, sometimes it's nice to sit down and watch a movie or read a book or play a video game or whatever.
Binge an anime, or binge your favorite online philosophy commenters who play video games.
Exactly, but that doesn't really answer, there's other things I could do that in many objective ways are better for me. Like, let's be honest here. Which is better for you? Sitting down to watch a movie or going to the gym? You could argue, usually going to the gym for many of the people who play video games is probably a good idea that they should do. But and then that's one part of the issues I'd raise with the definition, and the other part is that talks about why we consume art, like why it would be worthwhile to watch a movie or look at a painting, but not really. It doesn't really get into why you would want to make art. I mean, I guess making art can be. Well, here's the thing. Making art definitely does take time, and there is some pleasure in it, right? Like, making YouTube videos, I can say firsthand, is enjoyable. But, when you make art, there's an idea of, if it were truly just for enjoyment, it wouldn't matter if the art were good, or, what is good art? Don't ask me that. It wouldn't matter if the art is good, or if you're happy with it, or even if other people saw it, right? You could, in theory, if the only reason we had to make a YouTube video was just for fun, we wouldn't have any reason to upload it, because editing it and uploading it to YouTube takes effort, and that's not fun. So I think there's more to this question, or more to this answer.
Yeah. Well, so I agree. Like, there's something fulfilling, and I mean, I don't think it's beyond reason to say that there are some artists who make work that they never show anyone. They do it just because they enjoy doing it. And actually, I'll say, like, there's, to counter your idea of like the gym argument, there is something rewarding about, and like almost therapeutic about, expressing yourself. And so in a way you are exercising, you're just exercising a different part of yourself that you don't exercise at the gym. So there is a reason to do art. It's not just for funsies, or I mean, actually it is just for funsies, but it's not just a waste of time. It's a way to process what's happening around you. And I think that's another thing. It's very, what's the word? Cliche to say, but art is a way of expressing yourself. And humans, I think, even though we've evolved to have, the ability to speak, and, like, a wide array of ways to express emotions and things, art sometimes conveys things that we can't express with words. Like, I recently, on another application that I won't name because I don't want to give us bad credit, you want to keep all the fans here. I follow a lady who talks a lot about like Renaissance art, or just art in general, but a lot of it's like old, like Renaissance-ish paintings. And in one of them, it was like a mother like cradling her recently deceased son who had fallen from it, like doing a trap. What do you call the people that jump on ropes in the circus?
Acrobat?
Yeah, I feel like there's a word with a T that I'm thinking of. Yes, they were trapeze artists. And he had fallen during one of the stunts, and he had died, and it was a painting about it. And like, really what happened was the painter had just heard about the story through a newspaper article. And then he was so upset that he painted it. And I feel like there's a big difference between reading the article and then seeing the painting that I saw. Like, I feel more emotional about seeing the painting than I do about reading the story.
Yeah, that's true, because, and even though the story in the newspaper is probably, I don't want to say more. Well, yeah, actually, it probably is more factual, right? Because the artist didn't see it firsthand. The artist doesn't really know what color the mother's hair is and where exactly the young man was bruised or whatever. But you're right, there's some sort of emotional... Art definitely connects with people. It connects with emotions, both of the artist and art consumer.
Yeah.
In a way that some communication, that simply factual communication often doesn't, right? Which,
yeah.
In fact, it's interesting, that's kind of what poetry is, right? Poetry specifically is, you take language, everyday, ordinary words, but go out of your way to express emotion and a sense of mind, a state of mind and a state of being that you typically don't express in ordinary conversational language, or at least not as strongly.
Yes.
So yeah, expressing
apparently OBS has stopped responding, so we're gonna pause for a second.
Yeah.
We can still keep talking, but I'm gonna let it fall. But yes, so it's all. I think a big part of it is finding a desire to, or it's a human instinct. Words, or like with poetry, you have to use certain like metaphors and you have to exaggerate to get the emotional state of where you are. Because I guess like really when I say like I'm angry, no one ever sat me down and said, oh, this is an example of anger. This is what anger is, and this is what anger feels like. I think about this a lot, actually. There's a lot of times I'm just, or a lot of times I think about how I'll say, oh, I'm feeling nauseous. And I'm like, did anyone ever tell me what nausea is? Or have I just seen like what someone looks like and then felt like a queasiness in my stomach and a headache and said, oh, I'm nauseous? Is that what nausea is? Or am I... Like, obviously, now that I'm older, and, like, it happens with more complex emotions now, or feelings, but now I think, like, you know, oh, hey, I beat all the bad guys. Okay, good. So, is it, like, is that nausea, or is that just something that I call nausea, and it's actually something else? Like, everyone else, when they say, oh, I'm nauseous, is experiencing something completely different. And so, however, if I were to paint or express in a poem how I'm feeling, like on an emotional level, then people would, I feel like, would tend to feel the same thing in themselves and say, oh yes, definitely, I know what you're feeling, like, and I would feel heard, you know?
Yeah, no, that's good. And there's even, I think, another level to it. For example, I've never personally felt like a desire to murder someone, right? But I theoretically, or at least I kind of know what that feels like because I've, you know, read poems or books or movies or whatever expressing that emotion. So in a way, yeah, like what you're saying, even beyond that, art can express emotions that are common to people, but it can also express emotions that someone hasn't personally felt, but they can still sort of secondhand understand that emotion and sympathize with it. So yeah, that's another... So I guess in that sense, if you want to use that, art is a way, like a way of communicating that sometimes ordinary conversation and language doesn't get across, which that's an interesting thought, but okay. I'll accept that art can be that, but I'm not convinced art always is that. Like, I'll give a specific example. This YouTube video you are watching right now is, you could probably define as art. I think most common definitions of art would accept that. And so, Justin, do you think you and I are doing this to express emotion in some way? Like, I don't think that's what I'm doing. I can't speak for you, obviously. But...
I think you are. I think, I don't know, emotion is the right word. It's an intellectual desire to share knowledge. Like, you and I think both have a good respect for philosophy and what philosophers have done, and like people not being morons. So I feel like that desire to like want others to know and like know what's out there, know about, or just begin to ask big questions like, what is art, or what is truth, or do I exist, do I have hands? Like, asking big questions to get like our minds working, I think, is something that we both want more in the world, and we feel like the best way to do that is to do this, or one of the ways we can do it is to do this. Also, No, the reason I'll take it back. Actually, the reason we're doing this is because you wanted me to play Breath of the Wild. That's what we're doing this now.
No comment on that latter point, but yeah, I think that's interesting. So can we, based on that, can we expand the definition of, instead of just saying a form of communicating emotions, communicating
She's a modest schooner, but
just
well
a form of
suited to my
communication
purpose,
of
cargo from my plantation and
some
such.
of things
She'll
that
do fine.
often can't be
There's a strong
communicated
wind
with
now.
ordinary language?
Let's strike to full, shall we?
Is one of the reasons to make art.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. It's, you know, things that, yeah, that usually you things you can't express in words. I used emotion because I feel like a lot of art, that's what people say. But then there's like abstract art, which
The raw stink of possibility.
Yeah, a lot of art,
That's a top way of
honestly,
seeing it, mate.
if you let too much emotion get in the way, it damages the art. Like, making a blockbuster movie, a Marvel movie. Yeah, there should be an emotional core to it, but at the same time, you have to be. If your cameraman is breaking down crying every time you try to shoot a scene, it's not really going to work very well, you know. So.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. So, but actually, that does make me think of what I was saying about blockbusters. Can we really categorize like the latest Marvel movie as some way of attempting to communicate emotion or communicate an idea, or rather, it is that. But is that why it was made, or is that the reason the?
No, it was made for money, Noah.
So we stumbled across the other, well, not the other, a other reason why people make art, because it can make money. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No. Oh, no. Sorry, my headphone fell out. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Yes, making money isn't a bad thing.
Right. And yet, I don't know, when you talk about people, when you talk to some artists, I think there's always sort of a mystique or an idea of the ideal art is art made for art's sake.
You're
and
a
that if
natural
you
sailor, Duncan.
try to turn a profit
Yeah, for the
on
sake of
it,
art. Yeah.
if you try to turn a profit on it,
2 years
in
before the
some way
Masters
it
of
diminishes
Privateer.
it, which
Dash my button.
I mean, I'm not.
Your life seems
I
a
don't
grand
know
one,
one way or
if I may
another if
say.
that's true, but there's definitely
full
that
of adventure.
sense that you get
How
from a
marvelous.
lot of people.
I've seen my share
No,
of
it's interesting to
strangeness.
wonder why, if that's true, and if it's not true, where that idea comes from. But
Well, I
yeah,
feel like it's too far off topic for us to delve into real quick. I think that it's very true. And I think the reason is because when you are doing art not for the sake of art, you're doing it because you want a paycheck.
Very promising.
You're not doing what art is supposed to do, which I think gets back to our original thing. Art is supposed to express emotion. You doing art because you need a paycheck, the art isn't gonna have. You're doing technical
There you
things.
go.
You know, like, oh yes,
Welcome
this
back.
paint that are like this would look good because of this, or like, I don't know, this apple could
Well,
represent
your
this,
numbers
and
look
so I'm
good.
putting it in the foreground. Like,
Now let's
you're
make sure
doing
you
it on
get
a very
your brain
technical
all
level.
right.
You're not doing it because you want to do it.
I
Like,
need
you're
you
not
to move your
expressing
head
your
and look at these
emotion.
lights, just
You're
here.
just thinking logically about art, which I feel like
Look up.
is actually sorry,
That's
she's
it.
telling me to do stuff.
Down.
Oh, you're not in a boat anymore.
So
are you?
far, so good.
No, okay, so actually, okay, let's take a second here. Let's see.
So,
This
welcome
is
to
the
the
part
Sample
where I said
17
that
project. Before we
technically,
get
as much
started,
as I love
we're
the
gonna do
game for
this.
being like, you know, a cool little pirate adventure,
Testing,
it's
testing.
actually you're actually someone in like our world who is going through memories of like people who were pirates,
All right.
and
Let's take a walk.
like
Your file
for
says
like
you've
developing
done
a
some memory
game,
research
which I
before,
guess is the
but not
game
to
I
this
actually want to
extent,
play.
which is
I want to play the
surprising.
game that the game
You're
developers
very
in the game are
good.
developing,
The data
not
streams
the
are
game that the
very
game
stable.
developers developed. Say that 10 times
Interesting.
fast.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Uh,
Well.
but
Impressive.
but
right?
this does get a little
This
spicy.
building
It's not
is barely
quite
6
so
months
boring.
old,
There's
but
some
Abstergo
stuff that's
Entertainment has been a
that's
studio
fun
for a few years.
about it.
Since
There's like cool
2010.
mini games that you do. There's some scandals going on that you get to get involved in, so that's fun. Anyway, so going back to the art,
Maybe you saw
I feel like
Liberation?
it does diminish
That was our first
it
title
because
powered by
you're not
Animus Tech.
expressing
That
your
was just the
actual
tip of
emotions.
the
You're just
iceberg.
expressing.
Soon, we'll be unveiling commercial Animus.
Well, you're not really
servers for the
expressing
whole
anything. You're just
world to enjoy.
putting stuff
They'll
on
offer
a
passive
canvas, and I
experiences,
feel
of
like that's
course,
part of the reason why
edited
like I'm
versions
not
of real
particularly good at
history,
drawing,
but
because
only
I don't
the
have
exciting
like
parts. And we think we found the perfect subject.
I don't
for
have
our
the
first
skill to
full-length
like
virtual
express what I
feature.
want. I can only
Caribbean
like picture it in my head,
So that's your gig.
or you know, I can't put it on
just
the
take a
canvas.
minute,
And if I
okay?
try, I get too technical, and I try and like draw lines that like make sense, or I don't know, like.
Well, thank you, Nick.
I just look at it a very
Bonjour.
logical way, and that's not what art's about. It's not about expressing logic. It's about expressing like different kinds of emotion,
Merci.
and I'm just not able to do that super well.
This is for you.
So
And yeah,
yeah, I
Primary
think it
tool
does
of our
diminish the
trade.
art.
Your
yeah.
communicator.
And yet, the thing about logic is
Power it up and give it a look.
I think
It's
express
pretty slick.
art effectively, you do need some form of logic. Like, again, using this YouTube video, if we wandered into the recording, you and I,
You might
just
have
planning
noticed
on
that
expressing our
security seems a little
emotions
light around
and
here.
with
That's
no
because
sort
your
of logical
communicator is
flow
your
or
key
idea
getting
what we were
around.
doing, I don't think this would be a very good YouTube video or channel. Same thing, like if you're wanting to paint a painting, like, okay, even all the greatest painters and artists throughout history, yes, they are great at expressing emotions, but they also have technical skill, and they have to think and plan out. Okay, this line is going to go here. The sun is. I want the sun to be
See that
this
flashing
color
wireless
of
signal?
yellow,
It
not
means
the
you
other
hooked up to
color
the
of yellow,
elevator.
because
I'll let
that
you do
doesn't
the honors. We're
look
headed up
good
to the
when
Sample
contrasted
17
sky,
studio,
etc.
second floor.
So you kind of have to create art. I feel like you have to express emotion in a logical way, which is a fascinating
You ready?
fascinating thought.
Let's
but
go.
Then again, isn't that what? I guess that's kind of what communication is in general.
Yeah, maybe our communication major friend can drop a comment
there's the
and
boss.
enlighten us
Olivier
more on
Gagnon, our CCO,
how that
will introduce you.
how communication
Bonjour.
works.
Salut, Mélanie.
I know you listen to these at your desk. You've told me.
Ça va bien?
Well, thanks.
So
Yeah.
Have you met our new hire?
But anyway,
Um,
yeah.
I
So
haven't. Bonjour. What project?
yeah,
Sample
I think
17.
it is
Aidan,
the
Connor.
part about communication, and
Edward, the pirate.
I brought this up a little bit. I wanted to go a little further. Like abstract art, though, like some art is just like simple lines on a canvas.
Mélanie, can we talk in your office?
And
for
like
a minute?
I know there's like some
let me
really
get this
famous
one
ones
settled
that are
and
just
I'll
that.
see you in
I think you and I
5 minutes.
brought this up in a, or no, we
Nice to
talked
meet you.
about bringing this up. There's a
So,
a
this is the Sample
German
17
toilet.
floor.
This
We're
guy
diving
went
into
to
the
like
memories of one
a-
very generous donor.
like a,
Desmond
basically a
Miles.
Lowe's
We're
a
pulling
German
all
equivalent
the
of like
best stuff
Lowe's.
from his DNA.
Bought a
And hopefully
toilet,
one
like a
day
urinal,
we can forge some fantastic
wrote his name on
experiences
it,
from
and
what
then
we find
positioned
in
it in
there.
a certain way. Like he just like turned it on its side or whatever.
This parallels
And then
to
he
John,
presented it
one of the
as
wizards
art.
in IT. He's just
Yeah,
fixing something
which-
for you.
I don't know what he was
Interesting.
trying to express
Calibrating.
with that, but like my point is like
Calibrating.
some
Right.
art is just
So here we
like
are.
astounding or
Your
outrageous,
very
and
own
it's
Animus
that is the
Station.
purpose of it. Is that you're just doing
Yeah.
something
This is
that
all
no one's
yours.
done
So
before,
sit
and like
back,
that's supposed to
relax,
be
and find us some good footage.
like what's good about it.
If you need
So,
any hints
I
or
don't know.
tips, the Animus is
I think
located with tutorial programs, so
the
you won't
emotion
have
thing is the
problems.
core.
And I'll
It's
check
like
in on you
why
later.
we started
Alright.
doing art, but I will be okay saying like that is not the sole reason that we do art.
yeah, like money. In a very similar way, fame.
Welcome to
which
Animus
is
Omega.
probably even
Abstergo
less
Entertainment's proprietary
good
ancestral
or
memory
acceptable and the
research
money
tool.
thing, but I think there
If
are
you have
definitely
any
people who
questions,
get into art with a
comments,
desire
or
to
concerns about
become
how to
famous.
operate your Animus console,
Becoming famous
please
is,
contact your project
we've seen throughout
supervisor,
human history and
Melanie
humanity, a very
Romani.
common
You have been registered
desire of
as
humans.
part
Not
of
every
the
human
Sample
does, but a lot
17
do.
project.
And for
Your
some, they
primary
might think,
research
oh, well,
target
the
is
easiest
Edward
or
James
best way
Kenway,
for me to become
born
famous is
March
to
10,
become a
1693,
director, a movie director,
Swansea,
or an
Wales.
actor or something.
Calibrations
But that is
complete.
definitely a
All
motivation
signs
some
normal.
people to
All systems
use
optimal.
to make art.
Extra neurotransmitters activated.
Yeah, there's
Well, I don't know.
we-
I don't know how common that is though, because like I feel like you have to have the desire to do art, and then that's why you want to be famous for like whatever art it is. Like if you like rapping, and you like basic Eminem story, you know, if you like rapping and you're good at it, then you're like I can become famous doing this. It's not like you know some 8-year-old kid just decides one day who has no experience rapping is like I'm gonna be a rap star. That's what it is. Like they like without the desire to rap. You know what I mean? Like they don't go into a field that they have nothing like they have no desire to do. It's like I'm gonna be the best like pianist in the world for no reason.
fair point, but I think so. I guess you can say the desire for fame usually isn't the only reason, but I think that's definitely a motivation or part of the motivation.
like yourself must
You're right. The 7-year-old kid probably doesn't sit down and say, "I want to be famous. What's the best way to do this? Become a rap star." But
Yeah.
I think there's probably the 7-year-old kid out there who listens to rap and says, "I want to be a famous rap star." If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
Like,
makes sense. Yeah.
they and this doesn't have to be for children, obviously. It can be for anyone. The idea of fame and art is like bound up in one goal or one idea that they seek.
Nothing wrong,
Which I
Duncan.
think that's
No, it's nothing.
that's not
Sand
too
in my
uncommon.
hands.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the best
it
squad
sounds
in
like
town.
there's
I'm dying
kind
for
of
a quick kip.
we're getting at
Or a
those
siesta,
two
should
sort
I
of
say.
broad reasons to create art. There's
I'm
the
just headed to,
I don't want to say
public
base,
house
but like
now to meet
the
some merchants. I could
Simple.
show you the way.
Well,
simple
Foundational.
No, that's not the word. Base
I
more.
hope you'll tarry a bit while I conduct my meeting.
I don't want to say
great
animal
relief to have
emotions,
a
like
man of your
the
stature
desire
nearby.
for something, like for
Yes.
money, for fame, for power. What do you call
I
it?
feel like basic is the word you're looking for.
Might have a drink.
Base is like the word
Sure.
you're looking for.
There's the base reason, which
They don't take kindly to
people use
pirates here,
art
do they?
or want to create art as a
Wonder
means
how
to
many
achieve
stolen reals bought these
some
men this purse.
base human instinct or base desire, and then we're kind of getting at the, which is, that's valid. That's why people work. After all, most people work because they want money. But
Yeah.
and then we're getting at
Hola,
the other
ladies.
reason, which
Don't know these women, do you?
is,
No.
I think, the more
They
interesting
charge
side of the
money for that
question
kind
of
privilege.
sort of this,
Few dozen
people make
reals
art
for
sort of
every
out of
hour
this
of no.
desire to express
them.
or desire to
Goodness,
create,
no, I'm a
or
married man.
the art
Married men are their
in and of
forte, mate.
itself is the end, and then money or fame or whatever would be a nice side benefit to go with it, which,
Yeah.
yeah. But, so,
Aha!
I think that's
Here's
a
purveyor of personal
good enough working
defenses.
definition now, but I do actually
I
want
should
to turn
acquire a
to
blade
another
myself, Duncan, just as you
thought,
have.
especially
This rusty
specifically on
blade
that
is
second
nothing
one, the
but mine.
more
Even
art for
so,
art's sake
I fear
idea.
a
So,
mere kitten walking so close upon you. Perhaps
I
a
think
small
there-
dagger would suit me.
and
Let's see
I
what he
say
says.
this as someone who's
Maybe I'll buy a sword
technically
too. We'll
speaking
both
an
jump
artist.
rank.
I make
Oh,
YouTube
we'll be
videos.
quite
I
a pair, you
enjoy
and I.
sometimes
Twin
writing
devils.
novels in my spare time. Not that any of them have
Lend
ever
us
been
a few
published.
reals,
But,
then.
I enjoy making
did
art
save
in
your
some
skin.
ways.
Ah,
So there's definitely the desire for to create and to express. But if that were all that it is, it wouldn't matter. Again, there wouldn't be any reason to upload this video to YouTube. So why go that extra step? Is it just there's sort of a desire within you and I, Justin,
That's
that
what
we're
it
not
is.
acknowledging that we, on some level,
How
we
you
do
fare?
want to be famous,
I had
even if
only
it's
enough
sort
for
of
a
small
small
fame,
knife,
and that's why we're doing
sadly.
it? Or is
Still,
there some other reason
It'll do in a pinch.
that
Oh,
there's some other reason to desire to share it or
I've led
express
us
it?
astray, Duncan.
Oh, no
Whatever.
matter. I'll get us a better view. What are we
Yeah.
looking for?
A tavern. With a sort of
I don't think it's
courtyard
I
interior.
don't think it's about us wanting to be
My
famous,
goodness,
because
you're
I think
an
if we
agile
wanted to be
chap.
famous, we
Everything
have
is
other skills that
official.
we would try to
That's
implement
how you
that
tell
could
a
make us
true
famous.
sailor.
For instance, like I do want to be famous in a sense. I want to be famous for being the first person to solve the problem of evil in a convincing way that people accept it. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but that's the goal. That's the dream. So yeah, I do want that, and if I wanted to, really be famous, I would spend more time doing research and writing papers to try to get published. So I don't think this is the best way for me to achieve that goal of fame. But I think that,
I think I see
there is
your
something
place.
rewarding, I will say, when you find out that people, like, actually watch these videos.
Oh, he's got me blind.
Like,
Good God,
you know what I mean? Like, for the art to be appreciated,
Yeah.
I guess. If just creating the art isn't enough, like, you have to, like,
I'll break your knees
having
when I
it
catch ya.
appreciated and, like, I guess validated. Oh no, I lost the pickpocket. This is not gonna be good. There's no way I'm gonna catch him now.
I'm close
Um,
to Shitbird.
Yeah, so you want, like, people to acknowledge, like, that you did something and that it was good, right? You don't just want the art to just sit there. Well, I guess we said that sometimes people do just create art for art's sake, and, like, they're okay with that.
Here I come.
Um,
I think, being honest, I think that's the minority. I think most artists do want to be appreciated or
Yeah, I meant, like, I feel like
validated in
usually
some
people
way.
when people get really famous, they, like, and, like, for instance, like, Beethoven, I know that there's a good famous story. He upset a duchess, or he got furious at a duchess because she, like, demanded that he play for her, and he was like, I'm tired of playing. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, well, not, like, forever, but he was like, I don't want to. And I feel like, so there are instances like that where, like, you get good enough to where, you're doing it all the time, or, like, you're doing something special for so long that eventually you're like, I don't want to, like, do something for, like, fame. I want to, like, just draw this picture because, like, I don't know, it's been on my mind a lot lately. And, like, that's the only reason they're doing it. Like, they have no intention of, like, letting people see it. They're like, no, I don't know. It seems like a cool concept to like, work with.
Yeah. No, that definitely does exist, and yeah, I agree. There definitely is that feeling, but not for every piece of art. I guess,
No.
yeah. Not for every piece of art or for every artist. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. Huh, okay. I'm kind of liking where this is going. I had one other particular question on my mind about this topic. So we've established that there's a few possible reasons why one might create art. Typically falls into either the base human emotion category or the sort of desire to express and then we kind of covered that for most people there is, you know, a desire for that art to be seen. Final question, why do you think artists necessarily want their art to be good, if that makes sense? Now, again, trying to define what makes art good is a lot harder than you might think it is.
But whatever makes art good, why do we
Yeah,
want it?
I think going off a common definition, most people would agree some art is better than others. Not even in a classical sense, but like more technically better, just better at conveying emotions, whatever. It's, again, like I'm even struggling to give a simple definition of what makes art good, but I think most people feel and agree that, yeah, some art is good, some art is not. And for most artists, I can speak from personal experience, yeah, I want my art to be good. I don't want to create bad art. Like, I'd want these YouTube videos, you know, they're not the highest production quality ever, but I want them to be good at what they are. I don't want to intentionally create bad videos, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Which this one might turn out to be because it's doing the glitching thing again. So this one, Noah, unfortunately, may be a bit of a downer. I don't know. I'll have to get my computer looked at. So, but yes, I agree. I think, and like, I agree. I don't want to make bad videos. That's never my goal. Or, like, for instance, I know like you're a DM. I'm sure you don't ever want to make a bad campaign. And you know, like, there's something.
Yeah,
There is something.
When I write,
go ahead.
I don't want to write bad stories, you know?
Yeah. And I think that that's because, like I was saying earlier, there's something about your art being appreciated by others that is validating. And, like, if people aren't going to like it, then you're not going to be happy. Like, there's something we get out. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of a pride issue. But maybe it's like we want people to like it because if people like it, that means that we did good. And then we feel better about ourselves. We're like, oh yeah, we did a good job. We really painted that painting. And like, it makes us feel better about ourselves knowing that, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
So I maybe it's a bit of an ego, you know, an ego trip. We're like, yeah, I'm good. I can paint.
Okay. So then, to raise a possible counter to that, what about we discussed that for some people they want to make art that they don't show to anyone, right? That's just purely for their own, purely for the joy of making it, right? Yeah. I think for most of those people, they still want that art to be good, but if the goal of making art good is purely an ego trip, that doesn't make any sense, right? If it's never going to be seen to anyone, it doesn't matter how good or bad it is, or how much someone else would appreciate it. So. I think that's your ego explanation. I think that's definitely a factor, but I'm not sure if that's the whole reason.
Right,
I'd
and
like
that's
to pose. Yeah,
okay.
I think that in general, humans do try to seek and emulate the good, to borrow from Plato's idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think one small way of doing that, or at least when you make art, making good art is a way of seeking the good. So I think there's also an element of that in there. But again, it might not be. It might be mostly the desire to be appreciated. Therefore, I want to create the thing that will be most appreciated.
Yeah, maybe. And like, there's definitely, I feel like that's a valid thing. I feel like Plato actually brings that up at some point. About art and like how we try to emulate the good and how we do that by like expressing ourselves via art. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what it is. Hold on, I have to.
These guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. How dare they stop you from? Sorry.
I mean,
we haven't really been talking about the game very much. We've been getting pretty into the art, but. Right now, Justin, you're beating up some people.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what the deal is. I don't have enough historical knowledge. Maybe one of our historians that watch the videos can help us out. I believe I'm dressed as a pirate. Like I'm just dressed like pirates dressed, and so these are like British Royal Guards, and so they.
Oh, and so they decide to jump you, but because you're a video game character, you can beat them all up, and they all die. Wow.
Yeah, and then you just hide out for a few minutes, and then no one knows who you are anymore.
That's how law works.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm helping this guy. He was on the island. I saved him from some pirates that had rebelled on him. He's like a sugar merchant, and so I brought him here because I needed to get here. Because I remember from last episode, I stole the identity of some guy that I was chasing around the island. So I found him, beat him up, and now I'm pretending to be him. And so this is where he was supposed to go. Yeah. Oh, you see, and this guy recognized me from the ship, so he's like, oh, I know you. Anyway, but yeah, so back to the art thing. What was the last question you wanted to ask about it? Or something else?
It was about what's the motivation to connect with art. Yeah, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the ego, why and like, so why do we have the desire to emulate the good? Why is that something that we want to do?
That's getting into a longer question.
I've seen bigger arms on a bird.
Why that is, but yeah, I would say the easy or I don't know the easy answer, but the answer that would most readily come to me, based on my background and beliefs, would be because we are humans are made in the image of God. God is good, so even though we are fallen, we still do in many ways instinctively want to emulate God or be good or create the good in some way. I think my dad was telling me, was this Augustine maybe had an idea or was saying like everyone wants to seek the good, even the thief who pickpockets you is seeking good in some way. They just believe that the thief just believes that the good of the money giving to them will be more good than the bad of stealing. So yeah, that's not a tangent, but the idea being, yeah, everyone, because we're created by God, seeks the good and wants to emulate that, and in creating good art in some way does that. Now, if you don't believe in God or don't believe in even a good God, obviously that explanation is not going to work for you.
Yeah. And
honestly, I don't know how you would explain it if you don't believe in God, but hey, commenters, please offer us some possible explanations why people seek the good. I'd be fascinated to hear. I mean, if you want to quote famous philosophers, go ahead. If you want to quote yourself, go ahead too. That's the cool thing about YouTube, you get, not necessarily our videos, but you go to random videos, you get one comment that's like a 15-paragraph essay dissecting the video essay above, quoting, source like a MLA, APA paper, and then the comment below it with double the amount of likes just says sus. It's a beautiful
things
thing
do be
YouTube.
pretty sus.
It's a microcosm of humanity. We're all the good and bad that it is.
Okay, now I'm trying to run, but I'm having some trouble getting away from these people.
Well,
Especially with the game being as like glitchy as it is, it's getting a little difficult. Let's see. I need somewhere to hide. Oh wait, if I can stand
and
with
viewers,
these
we do
people, I should-
apologize if it turns out that this art is not good because of technical difficulties. It's not like Justin and I don't, surprise, don't have the fanciest YouTuber equipment out there. We're just all trying to make it work on what we got. Yeah. So one final thing. Yeah, I think we can kind of been answered, but sometimes making art is hard, right? In some ways, it's even painful. Like right now, sitting in a hot recording area, the AC is not on. It's not too much. It's not really working. Right now, in some ways, I'd much rather just kick back, relax, watch a show, or watch YouTube.
Watch an anime.
Yeah. but and still there's that desire to make this art. And the same thing, you know, if you're painting, painting's a lot of work, I know, or writing, or making music, or whatever. So, like, there's definitely something interesting that even when it is difficult and in some ways painful, the fulfillment of, I guess, expressing yourself, to go off that definition, is worth the effort. Which, I don't know, I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting that, like, this is such a rewarding thing that we will do it even if it causes us suffering.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, which definitely indicates that the motivation of a desire to express oneself must be really strong, because there's no, I'm not going to say no, but there's a few archetypes of characters and people more iconic than the starving artist, you know, who can't find the job, or doesn't want to find a real job, but continues to paint and make art even though he knows it's killing him, because he lives in a ramshackle little artist studio apartment. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know, I guess
I feel like we've gotten pretty close to, like, the crux of the issue.
Yeah, it really, you know, we don't talk about motivation in philosophy all that much unless we're dealing with ethics, I feel like. So I don't know, it's interesting to get into motivation in topics that we don't usually talk about it in, like the motive of doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, as you may recall from the beginning of the video, we talked about we still haven't defined what art is. We promise that video is coming up eventually once we feel brave enough to tackle that topic.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're good for this week.
I think we're good. Thank you so much all for watching. If you want to create the beautiful, beautiful art that is the YouTube comment section, please feel free. It may be painful, but you'll be expressing yourself. Probably not going to make any money off it, but hey, you might get some internet fame, and that's a thing that exists that some people want. Yeah, please, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a lot, and it lets you hear all about us rambling about video games and the reason to make art. Leave a comment, hit that bell to never miss a video if you ever wanted to not miss a video. And with all that out of the way, we will see you next week.
All right, bye.